This week, we're going to be talking about the week of April 3rd through the 9th. It's going to be the full moon in Libra and Mercury in Taurus. We have really exciting news. We got our book, The Basics of Astrology, in the sickest crystal metaphysical shop in Los Angeles, Spellbound Sky. We share about the fabulousness that Mark and Martin, the owners of Spellbound Sky, bring to Los Angeles and just how excited we are to have our book in their shop. This week, we're talking about values and authenticity. We want to be releasing any relationship tendencies that are inauthentic, and we're going to be establishing our self-worth through communicating our values. Stay tuned.
The weekly transit.
Astrology is a language that communicates how the planets and stars influence life on Earth. I'm Scott Tajarian. I'm an interpreter of this language. Join me and my co-host Ingrid Iverson, who helps bring an even more practical look at this astral language. The weekly transit is here to bring clarity to the chaos, so you can ride the planetary waves instead of the planets riding you.
The weekly transit.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, Scott.
What's up, Ingrid?
Oh, just still excited from our little visit we got to have.
Our field trip?
Yeah, we had a field trip.
So much fun. So exciting.
So if anyone doesn't have the Basics of Astrology, that's the book that me and Scott put together last year. It's for sale on Amazon. As a paperback copy, it's $30, or you can download it to your Kindle for $10. And we just started getting it in some shops in Los Angeles, and we got it in our absolute favorite store in LA, Spellbound Sky.
Amazing.
And so we went for a little field trip. We got to hang out with the owners.
Mark and Martin.
Mark and Martin, they're just absolutely magical. The shop is stunning. They bring all the energy. They're hilarious. They're fun. They just made the whole thing really exciting, and their store is just gorgeous. The first time Scott actually introduced me to Spellbound Sky a couple years ago, and I had been driving by for years and didn't even know it was a crystal store. It's like a secret little spot. It just looks like it's all black with this giant crystal unicorn in the window. And so when he took me there, I was like, oh my God, I've been driving by this for years. I had no clue. I thought I'd been to all the crystal stores.
It's on Santa Monica near Sunset Junction, kind of across the street from the Air One over there. It is a magical oasis, a vortex in Los Angeles. And so, yeah, when I took Ingrid that first time, she thought we'd be in there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was like,
tops.
how long can we, how much time should I allow for this? Like 20 minutes at the most. Scott's like, no, at least an hour. I was like, oh my God, Scott's such a dork. What are we going to do for an hour? Scott's just so into crystals. No, we were there for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
The staff knows everything about every crystal. They're like giving you little mini readings, almost helping you sort through, and then I have like 20 stones. And the staff is like, you don't need 20 stones. You're getting out of control. Like, this is what you said you want to focus on. These are the core things that you should be working on. And they just have a lot of intention, and it just feels very calming. Like, it really does feel like almost some sort of therapy session where you're like, okay, there's like a restart happening here just by entering this store and interacting with these people in this space.
It's calming, but there's a unique vibe to it that makes it, I don't know, different than what you might be thinking of what a crystal shop would be.
100%.
Like Mark was telling me when they were creating the store, and like when you think of a crystal shop, you think of like, the water fountain and the Zen music or whatever. And you go into Spellbound and they're playing like 70s rock or something, It's like the soundtrack of my childhood. When I walked in there the first time, I'm like, whoa, I feel like I'm 5 years old again. Like, this is like the music that my parents were listening to when I was growing up. And so it's just kind of a different feel.
It's like playful and energizing.
Yes, exactly. And they're both just so charismatic and engaging, and all the staff, like Ingrid said, is very knowledgeable. I mean, I first heard about Spellbound in 2016 when I was just as at the impetus of like getting super into astrology. And Lauren, who we worked with, just told me, she was like, you should go to Spellbound Sky. And I was like, what's that? And she's like, it's a crystal shop. And I just kind of filed it away in the back of my mind. And I opened up their website on my browser, on my computer, and it was open for months.
Oh my God,
months, because I was like,
so me.
When am I going to go there? I don't know. I want to go there. I don't want to forget about it. So I'll just keep it open on my computer forever until I finally go. And on August 5th, 2016 is when I went to Spellbound, when Uranus was conjunct my Chiron, the planet of the unexpected, conjunct with the wound and the ancient wisdom that is unlocked through healing that wound. And Jupiter, the planet of luck and expansion, was conjunct at the same degree in the same sign as my part of fortune in Virgo in the 5th house. So at once I walked in there, I was in this oasis. I felt like I was being healed, and yet my creativity was being invigorated in some way. And it was just the most magical experience. And ever since then, after that, every Tuesday, I see my therapist on the east side in Atwater Village. And when driving back from Atwater Village to West Hollywood, I stop at Spellbound Sky every week for like 3 years. And I buy a bracelet made by Dean from Wax and Wane, who's also a part of Spellbound. And I'd be chatting with Margaux or Lauren or Mark or Martin or Dean or anyone who is in there. Those are the people that were working there most of the time, and just having deep conversations with them. And they're just so kind and helpful. And man, the place just changed my life in the most positive way.
Okay, I would love to know what's happening astrologically. You never shared with me that story about actually where the planets were on the day that you first went there. So that's pretty amazing that you even know. Yeah,
well, that's what's fun
so
about.
Cool. What a full circle moment! Like, just, I mean, I'm not. If you haven't been to this store, you have to go see it. This feels really like. There's been all these little mile markers, but for me, this feels like a big mile marker. To be in their shop is like such an honor. Mm-hmm. Like, this is huge. An LA fucking staple. And like the other artists that are in this shop, there's tarot decks, there's like, oils and tinctures and jewelry, and they're just stunning. Gayla Darling's book, I don't know if any of you know her. She's just a stunning manifestation coach. Her book is like right next to ours. I was like, wow, this feels like we're doing something right.
Yes.
And the owners of the shop even listened to the podcast. I wanted to cry. There's just, they were just such amazing cheerleaders and totally hyped us up and made us feel so special.
Yes.
So if you don't have the book, go to Spellbound Sky, bring all your money, because you're going to need everything there.
Yes. Martin showed us his phone. It was like, see, you're on my top 3 podcasts that I listen to every Sunday night. I listen to your podcast. It truly is an honor. It felt like hitting a pinnacle in some way. Like Pluto is conjunct with my midheaven right now, and it's really? Like, this is like that kind of crowning moment of achievement for me that I never even imagined that I would have an astrology book. First of all, when I walked into Spellbound Sky the first time, I never imagined I'd be an astrologer at that point in time. And now I've got a book, an astrology book in Spellbound. It's like, whoa, what? Wow.
And will you also tell them about, you were saying one of the guys was sitting down with you saying you had like all of your chakras, and that's...
Oh, that was... So you asked about, you're like, you never told me the day that you went in there, and I didn't actually know the day until this is what's great about the phone and taking pictures and stuff. I scrolled back all the way back to 2016. I was like, I know I took a picture when I was there. I was sitting at the glass table with Martin across from me and laid out. I had picked out, I think, 8 crystals just little tiny ones. I was just starting out. I didn't go crazy like Ingrid and spend all my money there. I was just like, I'm just going to get small stones and see, if I can build a grid and what does this look like? I'm filling out the vibe, and I put it down there, and I snapped a photo, and you can see my head and Martin's head from the reflection of the table. And that's where the date is, August 5th, 2016. And Martin told me, he's like, oh my God, you've got all the crystals here. You've got every chakra except for one. Hold on a second. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get you another crystal. It's on me. I'll take care of it. And he went and got the 7th crystal for the chakra that I was missing. I didn't even know that I had a crystal for each chakra except for one, but he knew that. And he gave me an extra crystal. And I was just like, okay, I'm coming back here next week and then the week after.
This store is like insane to me. Last time I went, I literally put myself in the corner. My best friend came to town. I was like, okay, have to take you here, Erica. Like, you're going to love it. But I can't look at anything because before I even went to the shop, I already had enough crystals for any person. So like for me to spend any more money on a crystal was just absurd. So when I went back with her, I just sat in the corner, and then I met a woman, and her name was Ingrid, and she worked at the fucking crystal shop. Just the whole there's always something magical happening there.
Yes.
And now my friend Erica is getting married in 2 months, and her engagement ring is from one of the jewelers in Spellbound Sky, Perrier, like the water.
Margaux, who also used to work at Spellbound, who was one of the people who was helping me, would always help me when I would go in years ago. She doesn't work at the store anymore, but now her jewelry is in the store. She's a full-time jeweler. And yeah, your friend Erica, her engagement ring was made by Margaux. Perrier Like the Water. If you want to check out her website, it's perrierlikethewater.com.
Her stuff is really stunning and special, and everything that they have there, it doesn't feel like so hippie and granola. It's like some high end. Sometimes it's really minimalist. Sometimes it's really feminine. It's very simple, and I just have always wanted some jewelry that had crystals that didn't look so like, granola, I guess would be the word.
Yeah.
So they just have like just a beautiful selection, really just different than any other place that I've seen.
Yes. It's amazing. It's a gem. It's a one of a kind. If you don't live in LA and you come to LA, that is a place to go, is to go to Spellbound Sky, spend an hour or two there. You will be amazed. Like it's one of those places. It's like, yeah, you can go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame and to the Hollywood sign and all that sort of stuff, whatever. But if you want to go to the spot where the people that live in LA go, that is the place to go, Spellbound Sky. And if you do live in LA,
you haven't been
there, then go. And if you live in LA and you don't have the Basics of Astrology, the book, the paperback copy book, the physical copy, then go to Spellbound and pick up your copy. We'll put the links in the bio, of course, or the show notes.
Yeah. So I guess long story short, our book is in Spellbound, so that's very exciting.
Yes.
And if you're new to the podcast, the way it works, we'd like you to listen along with us, as well as if you want to watch us on video, we show some of the images that we are talking about, all the signs and symbols. They flash across the screen. That's available on Spotify as well as YouTube. So go check out our beautiful faces. And then you also want to pair it with, and then Scott's got the book here. He's giving a little preview if you're watching with us.
Here's a little bit of the book.
And then you can go to the website, go to the forecast tab. That's going to have a little in-depth description of what's happening each week. You can look at the slides that are kind of flash across the screen here. You can sit and look at them a little bit longer. And then it has all the journal prompts that Scott asks me here on the podcast, so you can reflect with them by yourself. And wait, there's one more piece. We're listening. We're looking at the book.
We talked about the forecast.
Okay, yeah, that's all the things. Just kidding. So that was our exciting little adventure for the week.
I'm so honored. I'm so grateful for you, Ingrid, for your support and for helping me bring this book together, you and Chris. I'm thankful to Gabriella, as I mentioned last week, because we were in there 2 weeks ago and she's like, you should talk to them and put your book in here. And I was like, okay, I needed that encouragement.
Yeah.
I needed somebody to tell me to do that. And of course, as soon as I told Martin, he's like, oh my God, yes, I'd love your book in here. And so Ingrid and I went last week, and it's such an honor. I'm so excited, thrilled, amazing. And of course, thank you to Mark and Martin. Yeah, if I didn't say that already.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Martin.
Yes.
We adore you guys. We adore your shop, and we're going to send everyone we know there.
Absolutely.
My cousin comes to town, Jennifer.
And you're doing a field trip.
Yeah, there'll be a field trip is on the itinerary to go to Spellbound. I want to make like I don't know what, a book or like some sort of a PDF of all of my favorite places in LA.
Yeah, when you come to LA, like a guidebook for LA, and Spellbound's on there for sure. It's a definite place.
Yeah.
Yes. So grateful to you, Mark and Martin. Thank you so much.
Shall we get into, before we get into the week, we have some questions. Shall we start with those?
Yes.
So I have Miss Ariana Noel 111 here. She is asking, what does it mean to have a Venus return? I'm not sure if that's what it would be called. My Venus is in Aquarius, and since it just recently moved into Aquarius, does that mean it's a Venus return?
So this just shows how far behind we are on the questions, because Venus is in Taurus now, so it's already moved through Aquarius and Pisces and Aries, and now it's in Taurus. So we're a little behind. Thank you, Ariana Noel, for your question. Venus return, the Venetian return. I look at it, yeah.
The Venetian return.
Yes, the Venetian return. It's a return of an awakening to your senses, to your 5 physical senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. What are your likes and dislikes? It's a recentering of yourself. When you understand what you like and what you don't like, that allows you to find what you are most attracted to, the people that you're attracted to, the people that are attracted to you. Do their likes and dislikes align with your likes and dislikes? When I look at like synastry charts, whether it's lovers, friends, business partners, you want to see, does the sun connect to Venus? If the sun's connecting to Venus in a positive way, which would be let's say a sextile or a trine or even a conjunction, that can bring about, that means that you're gonna have similar likes and dislikes to the person that you're connected to there. So hopefully during your Venetian return, Ariana Noel 111, you were able to get greater insight into your likes and dislikes, your senses, and connect to those in your orbit that enliven your senses, that illuminate your likes and dislikes, that support what it is you enjoy, what you value.
It's really fun to connect with other people that are into the same things that you're into. Just like going to the crystal shop made me feel extra inspired and extra creative, because the owners are just super excited about the crystals and sharing their life and their story and their drum circle and their design for their home and their closet and their clothes. Just, I love all of those things. So that just made me feel like it lit me up. And then now we're going to do a little coming here shortly. I think maybe next week we'll have some like new slides to show you guys. We're just updating a little bit of the website and stuff over the next couple of weeks. And it's been on my mind forever, like for the last like 6 months, but only after like connecting with people that remind me that I love beautiful things and like all of these aesthetics are important to my happiness. Re-inspired me to be creative. Yes.
You know what's funny, Ingrid? So Martin, when we were there, he shared with me his daytime and place of birth, and I looked at his chart, and you know what, Martin, you and I have in common?
No.
Venus is in the same sign for all 3 of us, in Libra, the sign that it rules. So this is why when we go to Spellbound, we're like, oh my God, I feel at home. This place is so beautiful. It makes so much sense to me, because our likes and dislikes are similar in that way, what we find beautiful.
I love that.
Yes.
All right, let's see. We have another question from Miss Lily Chryslow. How does being born on or around a full moon affect you?
If you're born under a full moon, it means that there is potentially some discordance with regards to your identity and your emotions. They're like at odds with each other. It's the way that you identify is at odds with what you need to feel fulfilled emotionally. You may also view that your parents, the masculine and feminine entities of whatever that parental aspect was for you growing up, they might have been at odds with each other. So, because the masculine is the sun and the feminine is the moon, and they're opposed one another. So, maybe the mother and the father, there was some sort of opposition that you experienced between the two of them. But from your own inner experience, you have your identity and how you identify, and then you have your emotions, which are at odds with how you identify. But the thing is you are very driven to satisfy your emotions and bring it into a balance with your identity, which is a challenge. And opposition is a challenge, but that is one of the challenges that you're meant to face in this life. But it's meant to help you evolve and grow and find balance in who you are.
Tagging along on that, you're talking about the masculine and the feminine, as in like mother and father.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that could also be like an internal conflict of sorts. Like me and my friend were just talking about a lot of the masculine and feminine qualities, and he has like a whole theory of masculine versus feminine. You know, most women and men fit into kind of like the general category. But he was saying how I have a lot of masculine qualities, although I do have some very stereotypical feminine qualities also. So maybe some sort of a dissonance internally with he was talking about like process oriented versus outcome oriented. Women are more process oriented and men are more outcome oriented. So we kind of live a little more in our emotions usually, and men are more about like the outcome. But you know, there's all a mix of that in all the genders and spaces. But I thought maybe that might be somehow incorporated into this, like the dichotomy within ourselves of
totally not, we are all different levels of masculine and feminine. Whether you are a man or a woman, you have different levels of masculine feminine energies, and those are usually easily identifiable through your astrological code. I would say that your masculine energy, Ingrid, comes from the fact that like your Mars, which is the god of war, the planet of action, it's a very masculine planet. It's in a position of power in your chart because it's in the house that it rules, Scorpio, and it's in the sign that it is exalted in, Capricorn. Now, both Capricorn and Scorpio are introverted signs or feminine signs because Capricorn is earth and Scorpio is water, but that it's still in a position of power there. So your masculine planet is very strong in your chart.
What would be the most feminine? Venus?
Well, the feminine is, your Venus Virgo is also in a position of power because it's in the sign that it rules, Libra. And your moon is in a position of power, which is also a very feminine planet because it's the planet of emotions. Your moon is in a position of power because it's in the sign that it rules, Cancer. So your Mars, your Venus, and your moon, Venus and the moon are the feminine, Mars is the masculine. All three of them are in power positions in your chart. This is why you have very strong feminine energy, but also very strong masculine energy.
So interesting. I love that. I want to have more conversations about that. I want to delve deeper into that. That's really fun.
Anytime. Yes.
Let's see. Thank you, Lily, for the question. Moving on to Awalina. She says, hi, can you explain a Saturn return and how do you know when you have one or have had one? She was born 4/20/1979 at 4:28 in the morning in Hayward, California, Alameda County. Thank you for all that you share with us.
Amazing. Okay, Alina, let me see. Let me put your info into my database here, and caught me a little bit off guard. Didn't realize I have to put the the date, time, and place in, but love doing it. What were you saying, Ingrid?
Oh, I was just saying all the names we have here are so amazing. We have Ariana Noel, Lily, Aulina, and then there's, I don't think we'll get to all these questions today. Alexa, Tori, Talia, Heather. They're just really gorgeous names. I'm having fun over here.
Yes. Okay, so Aulina was born with Saturn in Virgo. So her Saturn return, Alina is actually experiencing a Saturn opposition this coming year. So the Saturn return happened, let's see, that would have been, and to answer the question to Alina, the way that you know your Saturn return is first of all, you gave me the date, time, and place of your birth. That's the first step. So you look at the date, time, and place of your birth. You put in your birth chart. You see what pops up and where's Saturn. And if you have the basics of astrology, you will know what the symbol for Saturn is. You will know the sign that you will recognize the symbol for the sign. You can decode it there. But your Saturn, when you were born, was at 7 degrees in Virgo, which means that your Saturn return was in 2008, 09. So let me see here. That would have been exactly... Okay, yeah. So it happened, some people's Saturn returns are longer than other people's.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Why? Well, because, okay, I'm going to show you something here.
Well, if there's a retrograde?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, cool.
So sometimes, so we look here, here's Saturn. It's 6 degrees. So that first hit Alina in October, November of 2007, and then through into December a little bit, but then Saturn began to retrograde at 8 degrees. So really, this was kind of a long Saturn return. It began in October, and Alina was feeling this from October all the way through to February of 2008. And then it came, so October 2007 to February 2008. And then it came back for that third time. What was really like one long time and then a second time that was quicker. The second time Alina started to feel that in July to August of 2008. Wow. So it was that long period from October to February. That was like a long period because Saturn began its retrograde at 8 degrees. Her Saturn was at 7 degrees. And then another blip in July and August of 2008.
And then do you want to go into a little bit about what is a Saturn return, like how a Saturn return affects you?
So the Saturn return is the authority. It's a cross of matter with a crescent of receptivity pointed down, symbolizing the work that is required to achieve your ambitions in the material world. Saturn is the god of wealth and time. It's the planet of restriction, responsibility, hard work, achievement, and authority. So Saturn is the boss. This is the symbol for Saturn here, cross of matter, crescent of receptivity pointed down. It's the boss. It's the authority. You were given an assignment when you were born. And your assignment is to do the work that is required by Saturn, but also, so what house is it in? What sign is it in? That is where you need to do the work, but then also following your North Node, your soul's purpose. The more that you're doing the work of Saturn that is required as based on your chart, the more that you are following your North Node, the more that you will receive the reward when the Saturn return occurs. It's like the authority coming back into the room, checking to see if you've done the work. If you have, then you're rewarded. If you haven't, then you're punished. Most people are punished, like I was when I was 29, 30, because I had no idea what I was doing in life. Yeah. And so, yes.
And it comes around you're 30 years old, and then it comes around 60, which is like these both kind of coming of age moments. Like we think of like 18 and 21 as coming of age, but really like around 30, that's when you become like a real adult. There's a lot of transitions happening there, and it's like you're really starting to be responsible. You're not just in your 20s anymore just fucking around. Like you're finished with school, you're starting your career right now, like you're getting a little more serious, maybe starting a family. And then around 60, it's like that's like the midlife crisis. Maybe you haven't really been fulfilling your soul's purpose. Maybe you missed the boat at 28, 30, whatever, or you just were never on that focused path of figuring out why you're on earth. And then even whether or not you've been working on it, it's another test.
Yes. When you think of 7 years, it's 7 years is like the marker. At age 7, that's when Saturn squares Saturn. At age 14, that's when Saturn opposes Saturn. So 7 is when you start to realize like you're your own person. You're separate from your parents. You're not clinging to your parents in the same way that you were from ages 0 to 6. 7 is when you really start to step into your own power as an authority, even though you're a child. Then at 14, you're at that preteen, early teen years, which is another step up. Then 7 years later, 21 is the second Saturn square Saturn. 21, you, by society standards, are an adult now. You can drink, you can do different things. Then 28 is the Saturn return. 28, 29, 30. It's different for everyone, but it's around those ages. And like Ingrid said, once you get to the end of your 20s, you're like, oh shit, I'm not going to be young forever. I need to get my shit together. Like, what's going on? I thought I was going to be, so successful, and I haven't been doing the work to be successful. Yeah. So, yes.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then we have one more kind of question. I'm just going to read it anyways. Yeah. It's from Heather Williams. She said, can you do a bonus episode where you go through a ton of questions? I learned so much from other people's experiences. I love you. I love you too. The dynamic is perfect. Keep on doing your thing. Thank you so much, Heather.
Amazing. Thank you, Heather.
We've been trying to get through some of these questions at the beginning of every episode so we don't run out of time. So I think we're going to keep plugging away. We'll see where we're at, but I think we're going to just make it a point, because sometimes we skip the questions when they're at the end because we've already gone on too long talking about who knows
and
what.
We're exhausted.
Yeah. Or we're or Maggie has to go out, or there's any number of things at the end. So I think putting them at the beginning has been a good way to get through them all. And if anyone out there has questions, if you ask a question in any of the channels besides through Spotify, we're going to answer it in that channel. So if you're on YouTube, we'll just answer the question on YouTube. There's just too many things to keep track of. If you send it to Instagram, we'll just answer it there. But if you go to Spotify, there is a Q&A part, and you can submit your questions to be answered on the podcast there.
Exactly.
Also, if you don't want to listen to questions, or you want to skip ahead or go behind in terms of the day of the week, there are time markers in the show notes. So if you just go to each time marker, you will be able to go right to that day of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they all have their own little tab.
Amazing.
Usually I use those when I'm having either a really good day or a really bad day, and I want to go revisit maybe what has happened astrologically to make sense of it.
Yeah, a midweek meltdown. What's going on?
Yes. Shall we get into the week?
Let's get into the week, Ingrid. Yes, this is the week of April 3rd through the 9th. We begin on Monday, April 3rd. We're looking at Mercury, the messenger of the gods, guide of souls to the underworld, the planet of consciousness, communication, and coordination, moves into Taurus today. The fixed earth sign symbolized by the bull. And as it moves into Taurus, it aligns with Pluto, the god of death, lord of the underworld, the planet of transformation, in the fixed air sign symbolized by the water bearer Aquarius. So this is square. You can see from these symbols, if you're watching, they're very similar. They're both made up of all three root symbols: the crescent of receptivity, the circle of spirit, and the cross of matter. The only difference is Mercury, the crescent of receptivity, is on top of the circle of spirit. Pluto, the crescent of receptivity, is in between the circle of the spirit and the cross of matter. Mercury is the guide of souls to the underworld. Pluto is the lord of the underworld. So this is a big transit here. This is the first time Mercury in Taurus is aligned with Pluto in Aquarius in 200 and something years, since the 1790s. I didn't look at the exact date, but there is some major transformation occurring here with regards to your mental process, your thought process, what you value, what's important to you, your likes and dislikes. How is that at odds with the community or the group context? There could be some conflict between what you value and what the community, society, or the group values. So, yeah, this is just butting heads.
So if anyone saw me, I was looking at my phone. Scott always sends me the alignments so I can see them on my computer too. So I wasn't on my phone. I was just putting them on my computer so I can follow along with you. Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing I thought of, was a little bit of excitement, because it's nice to tap into your mind being connected with your senses and the material. It feels like nurturing and fulfilling. But if your community isn't on the same page on like valuing and appreciating the same things as you, you're going to feel that that separation from them, or there might actually be a separation from them because they don't care about the same things that you care about.
Yes.
And that's I mean, it's a square. That's uncomfortable. It's a gift, but it's also scary.
It might make you feel like something's wrong with you. I like this, but nobody else likes what I like. There's something wrong with me. But the way to work through this energy is to recognize that everybody's tastes are different or unique to their own. I mean, you might like some things that someone else likes, but you're not going to like everything that everyone else likes or that anyone else is going to like. There's going to be some differences. So this Aquarius energy is really urging us to embrace our differences, to recognize that each one of us is unique. Each one has a unique gift, and you're not really in competition with anyone other than yourself. And so lift each other up rather than tear each other down.
I love that.
And this is going to be a challenging transit of Mercury through Taurus, because Mercury is going to be in Taurus for an extended period of time, because it is going to retrograde. Oh, so Mercury is in Taurus from April 3rd until June 11th. Typically, Mercury spends about 3 weeks in a single sign. Here, it's going to be spending over 2 months in a single sign.
It's a long time.
So the Mercury, yes. So Mercury enters its retrograde shadow on April 7th. So just a couple days from now. It begins retrograde on April 21st. The retrograde ends on May 15th, and then Mercury exits its retrograde shadow on May 31st. So the last time that Mercury was in Taurus, it was also retrograde, but last time it retrograded, it moved between Gemini and Taurus. So Mercury was in Taurus from April 10th to the 29th, and then May 22nd to June 13th, 2022. The last time before that Mercury was in Taurus was April 19th to May 3rd, 2021. So think back to those dates for clues on what could be in store for you this time around. Of course, if you were born with key astrological points or planets in Taurus or Aquarius, they square, or sorry, in Leo or Aquarius, if you were born with key astrological points or planets in Leo or Aquarius, those two signs square Taurus. So there could be challenges for you during this transit of Mercury in Taurus.
And then I can see, I'm just thinking like some of these are going to be squaring them, so that's more uncomfortable. It's like I think if you're doing the work and you're recognizing how to appreciate yourself and the differences that you have from other people, the more you're going to feel okay at accepting that sometimes things will change because like your relationships can change because, or your community around you will shift because maybe you're not in tune with the same things as everyone else. But it's a good thing to be able to express what you really appreciate so you can draw in the right kind of people for you. So even though that can be a scary and uncomfortable time, try to embrace knowing that whoever falls away, this will be making space for the people that are a good fit for you to come in, and you're going to feel even more accepted in your community when you have the right community around you.
Love that. So be yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you're being yourself, then you're attracting people that are an appropriate reflection of you.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Amazing. So let's move on to Tuesday, April 4th. We've got the moon, the planet of emotions, in the mutable earth sign symbolized by the Virgin and ruled by Mercury, opposing Neptune, the god of fresh water and the sea, the planet of illusion, deception, compassion, and intuition, in the mutable water sign symbolized by the fish, Pisces, which is ruled by Neptune. So the moon opposing Neptune. So when the moon is transiting through Virgo, we're taking an analytical look at our emotions, at what we're feeling, and those feelings could be quite critical, especially to yourself. And so if you are feeling that sort of self-hatred or criticism, like this is a time to really show yourself compassion. That's what Neptune and Pisces is about. It's about showing yourself compassion so that you can integrate any sort of critical, overly analytical, beating yourself up thought patterns so that you can integrate them with understanding, forgiveness, and love for yourself. What are you beating yourself up over?
I love when you say that, the understanding, forgiveness, and love, because I think it is a gift to be able to critique our own emotions, and that's how we understand ourselves better. That's how we understand why we're doing what we're doing. But your reminder for that Pisces energy is to be compassionate. We're just learning. We're all just here learning what the fuck to do. And the only way to learn a lesson is to like go through an uncomfortable time of doing it wrong before you can do it right and actually critiquing it. So don't throw away the critique. That is important as well, but don't be so harsh with it. Be able to try to take the emotion out of the critique while you're looking at it. It's just like, these are facts that happen to us. We get upset over things. Yes. We do the wrong thing, and we shift and we do better next time.
Exactly. It's hard.
Life is really hard.
Fucking hard. And I mean, yeah, it's just like trying to do the right thing all the time and then it not going right. You're like, oh my God, how did this happen? You know, and if you think of like if you were a child, do you want somebody to speak to you? You fucking idiot. You're so fucking dumb.
Like, I told you not to touch the hot stove.
Yeah.
Like we have all to touch those the sorts hot of stove. Things. We got to touch it first. What are we going to scream about ourselves afterwards? I can't believe you did that. It's like we didn't know. And even if we think we know,
we didn't know. And even if you did know, it's an accident. Mm-hmm. You know, you didn't mean to, mm-hmm. Or maybe you did mean to, and now you're hurting anyway. It's like just take
Sometimes
it easy on yourself.
A reminder.
Yes. But when you're able to show yourself compassion, that's when you're showing that you're ready to go out there again and have a similar experience so that you can do it differently this next time.
Yeah. So true.
As opposed to if you're just beating yourself up continually, then you're not really ready to make amends and do things differently than you had in the past.
Well, there's no space to. I mean, I didn't think that I was doing that, but I have been in a really bad cycle of beating myself up over it not working out with my ex by thinking of all the things I could have done differently. What if I would have said this? What I would have done that? What if I would have given an ultimatum? What if I would have, tried harder? What if we did more therapy? Like all these what ifs that were like on me. But like the fact is that time moves forward and you can't go backwards. So what are you going to do moving forwards? That's the only way to do anything.
Exactly. There is no backwards.
No, there's not. So obsessing on the what if or why did I do this certain thing doesn't do anything unless we're actually using it as a critique and learning from our issues. I didn't do this last time. Next time the situation arises, I want to make sure I implement these things. And even writing that down, maybe that would help you to be like, this is the mistakes I made in the past. This is how I would like to do things moving forward if the same situation arises so I don't forget. Because we can so easily forget and repeat our mistakes over and over. It just happens unconsciously. So, setting aside some time to actually sit with those critiques so we can decide what we want to do next time.
Yes. And with the moon in Virgo, you bring up a great point. It's a great time to write down whatever it is you're feeling. Virgo's all about writing and taking notes and those sorts of things. So on Tuesday, you're writing down all the critique. And then on Wednesday, which is the full moon in Libra, you're burning it on fire. You're lighting it on fire. Like all this shit that I'm blaming myself for, I'm going to light it on fire, send it out. It's no longer a part of me. This is such a powerful full moon right here. It's going to be opposing Chiron, the wound, the ancient wisdom that is unlocked through healing that wound, which is conjunct the sun in the cardinal fire sign symbolized by the ram, Aries, the moon in the cardinal air sign symbolized by the scales, Libra. And then you've got Mercury in Taurus forming a positive sextile with Saturn in Pisces. So taking responsibility, Saturn in Pisces connecting to Mercury in Taurus. We want to take responsibility for the thoughts that I'm having in my inner world, my unconscious thoughts, my dreams, my fantasies, those thoughts that just sort of rise up when you're driving, taking the same route that you've taken every single day, and you don't even realize how you got from your house to your work because you've just been in your mind the whole time. Like that, Saturn is really sort of crystallizing this right now. And it's making it really hard for us to show ourselves compassion, to be empathetic to others, to trust our intuition, and to have faith that everything fucked up that's going on right now is somehow, some way in my highest good. I don't know how, I can't see it right now, but I trust that it is. That's the challenge that we're all going to experience in some way, shape, or form over the next 3 years as Saturn transits through Pisces. The illusion is going to become more real, and illusions are going to be revealed as well. And if they're revealed, is it real? I don't know. How do we know? What is the truth? Fuck. And so Mercury in Taurus grounds us into reality. What is my self-worth? What do I value in my conscious mind? I say this about myself in my conscious mind. What is that? What do you say about yourself? And can you take responsibility for these thoughts that are occurring in the unconscious, in the conscious, then facing the fears, because the sun is conjunct Chiron. So the sun is illuminating. This is a new cycle of the sun illuminating our wound to self-confidence. So what is the wound to your self-confidence? How are you feeling about yourself? What are your insecurities right now? And the last time the sun was conjunct Chiron in Aries was back on April 1st of 2022. So how have you evolved since April 1st, 2022? Are you more self-confident? Are there insecurities that you still need to look at within yourself? And the moon is highlighting the relationships. Maybe you're finding your insecurities through your partner. You see your partner's insecure about something. You're like, oh, do I have that same insecurity?
I mean, also partners are such a reflection for like you think you've healed all your shit, and then a partner comes in and you're like, oh fuck, I'm insecure about X, Y, and Z because they're fucking that we like to point the finger and be like, oh, you're not doing this for me, and now I feel bad, and it's like, oh, actually that's just our own insecurities that have been here all along, and then now there's another person to reflect all of your own unmet needs that you think a partner should fulfill. So I mean, looking at this moon, it's Libra, so balance and grace.
Yes.
Being graceful about accepting these things.
Exactly. Going back though to like the new moon in Aries. So there was the first new moon in Aries, which was March 21st, 22nd, depending on where you are in the world. Okay. Then there's going to be a second new moon in Aries coming up in a couple weeks. Ooh. But Aries, the four cornerstone of Aries are self-love, courage, confidence, authenticity. So the new moon in Aries is about setting your intentions to love yourself, setting your intentions to have the courage to be authentically confident.
Well, that's just going back to Monday of maybe having some sort of discomfort of tapping into what is important to you, and maybe your community is not in alignment with that. And then maybe you're being critical about it the next day, getting in your head about like maybe why my inner world isn't matching up. And then Wednesday it's like, oh well, now we're gonna have balance and grace, now we're gonna charge ahead, we're not gonna fucking worry about hiding ourselves, because that we're ready to heal our wound. It's okay to be different, and it's not only okay, it's important to just be ourselves.
And in healing the wound and being yourself, being authentic, this is where this full moon in Libra, it's a release. And so we want to release any tendencies that are occurring in our close personal relationships, or maybe it's releasing an actual relationship, like a breakup, because this person does not reflect me authentically.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something about this relationship that is inauthentic, and I need to I'm going to release whatever is inauthentic about this relationship. And maybe that leads to a breakup, or maybe the other side says, you know what, you're right. I feel the same way. And you both release whatever facade you're holding up to face one another in the relationship. This is about taking down the facade. I mean, this year, when you think of the moon, remember, the moon is where it was 19 years ago. And so where were you in April of 2004? What was going on in your life? Now, if you can't think of that specifically to yourself, I certainly can for me. I know. There are several other planets that were in similar same signs too, like Mercury. Mercury is in the same sign, Taurus. There was also the North Node in Taurus back in 2004, but that was the last time there were two new moons in Aries. And think about this, Ingrid. There was a crisis that occurred in 2001. There was another crisis that occurred in 2020, 2021. And these crises, these traumatic events, changed the way you think.
Yeah.
The way that you identify, the way that you know yourself. And so this is sort of that cosmic opportunity to reset and say, this is who I am now. It's a new world and a new me. So who is the new you in the new world?
Yeah.
And who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with to reflect you in your most authentic way?
I love that.
So if you're curious to know what's going on with you in the next lunar cycle, which will be the new moon in Aries part 2, and then the full moon in Scorpio, I encourage you to enroll in my moon cycle classes, which are available for enrollment at theweeklytransit.com. Thursday, April 6th, Mercury and the North Node in Taurus. So the planet of communication, conscious mind, connectivity, coordination, conjunct at the same degree in the same sign as the North Node, the soul's purpose, the karmic pathway of the soul, Taurus, self-worth, values. We're taking a very conscious look at our self-worth and our values. So what do you value? What is the status of your self-worth? We understand why Taurus comes after Aries. Aries is about who am I? Taurus is what do I need? I don't know what I need if I don't know who I am.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
So
the more we learn about ourselves, the more we know what we need.
Exactly.
So setting aside time to learn about ourselves will open us up to be able to demand or ask or do the things for ourselves that need to be done. And maybe that means changing. That could mean a lot of changing the way we do things or asking for different things because we are learning more about ourselves. Oh, I didn't know I even needed that. Maybe you have a partner who's like, maybe I need you to just not fucking talk to me in the morning. I need quiet in the morning. Maybe you went on a trip, you realize, wow, my day is so good when I have an hour to myself. But maybe if you have kids even, it's like, okay, I need my own hour to, start my day, whatever it is that has been like kind of an epiphany of yours, being able to share it and ask for what you need out of the people around you.
Yes.
And if people care about you and they value you, they're going to value your values. So it's like, well, maybe they get excited when they wake up and they just want to talk to you, but they're like, oh, I know this is what they need, so I'm not going to take it personal. I want to make sure they're taken care of. That's important to me, that they get what they need to feel happy.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Amazing. Thank you, Ingrid.
I mean, I wake up and immediately start talking, so that's definitely not me. It's just a random example, but
Gemini rising. When you're rising, you're talking. Friday, April 7th we've got Mercury just sitting here by itself. Just a reminder that Mercury moves into its retrograde shadow today, April 7th. It will be in retrograde coming up on April 21st. The retrograde ends May 15th and it moves out of its retrograde shadow on May 31st. So when the retrograde ends on May 15th, Mercury will be right here at 5 degrees in Taurus. So 5 weeks from now, Mercury will be in the exact same spot that it's in right now. So take your time right now, really focus on where do I want to be in terms of establishing my self-worth and what I value. Where do I want to be by April 21st? Where do I want to be by May 15th? And where do I want to be by May 31st in terms of establishing my mental process and communicating my self-worth and what I value? Now, helping along with this transit is Venus, Lady Luck, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships, and the planetary ruler of Taurus. Therefore, in a position of power because it's in the sign that it rules, aligning in a positive sextile with Neptune in Pisces. So Neptune in the sign that it rules, Pisces, Venus in the sign that it rules, Taurus. This is a really positive, powerful alignment to bring your dreams, your fantasies into reality. connecting the dreams to the senses. Like, this is what I love. This is what I want. This is what makes me feel good. This is my value. This is my time to manifest that, to manifest what I want, and what I want reflected from my partners, the people that I'm in relationship with, whether it be a lover, a friend, or a business partner.
It feels like a culmination of this whole week, kind of, because maybe you did all that work and now you're appreciating it, and the people that you're close with are appreciating that as well. You're in community with people that like what you like, and now you're like, it's a day of healing to be able to sit in this space.
Yes, I really feel like after this full moon, this release of like, I'm letting all these insecurities, this baggage or whatever that I'm carrying around in these relationships, whether it's releasing a relationship or releasing
an idea
within relationship, either way, like, it's this release is going to help you reset. And these coming transits, as we talked about, Venus connecting to Neptune, but on Saturday, April 6th, it's Mercury in Taurus aligning in a positive sextile with Mars, the god of war, the planet of action, aggression, and conflict, in the cardinal water sign symbolized by the crab, Cancer. So the planet of consciousness and communication in a positive sextile with the planet of action. So this is about connecting to that mental process of what are my likes and dislikes, what do I value, and now what are the steps that I need to take? How can I put that into action? Move forward towards creating the home life, the home environment that I want, that makes me feel emotionally safe and secure. And maybe having the courage to look back into my past, my roots, my upbringing, my childhood, the ones who raised and nurtured me, or my ancestors, and how did they create security or a lack of security? Where do these values come from? My values, my likes and dislikes. Are they from my family, my ancestors, my upbringing? Are they solely my own? Where do they stem from? It's digging into the roots a little bit and looking and seeing what's there.
I was just thinking, I always have this period of time in my early 20s where I felt like everything was just going right. I was just taking care of myself so well that I just felt so happy all the time. I had dedicated days that were yoga. That meant no drinking. That meant like good breakfast. That meant going to bed early. Then it would spill into the day before. I felt like half of my week ended up being preparing to have these days that were just for me to work on myself, and just having really strong boundaries around it. Even if I was like traveling, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to a class on this day. I don't care if it's a family thing. I'm going to leave for a couple hours to take care of myself. And then somehow I follow like some business account or something, and it was talking about setting aside time for accountability within yourself and structure, and how that relates to accomplishing your goals and your happiness. And I was like, oh, I had so much, or like so many strong boundaries with myself and organization. And I felt like I really knew myself in those moments to be able to get what I wanted. So I feel like looking at this, it's like taking action to get what you need to be fulfilled. Taking action about the things that you value and incorporating them into your life is just the consciousness from Mercury, being consciously aware of what we need and being able to take action to get it.
Yes, that's it.
It's like the puzzle is coming together, because it's like a lot of the times I'm like, I know what I need. I don't have the energy or the wherewithal to like take action, or I don't even know what I need. And it's like, oh, now I know what I need and I'm going to go fucking get it so I can feel good.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Awesome, Ingrid. Okay, moving on to Sunday, April 9th, another water-earth connection, again with Venus in Taurus, now opposing the moon in the fixed water sign symbolized by the scorpion, Scorpio. So this opposition is my emotions, my emotional attachment or connection to the ones that I'm most intimate with, the ones I'm most deeply bonded to, and my self-worth, my values. So are my values being supported and lifted by those that I'm bonded to? Am I lifting the ones that I'm bonded to and supporting them in embracing their self-worth and what they value. So this is the sort of reset after that full moon in Leo. It's an opportunity, as we said, to release what isn't working, but now come back together and find what is working, or how we can balance this together in terms of your self-worth, my self-worth, your values, my values. How do we make it work?
What kind of like energy is Scorpio bringing to this? That's the intimacy in the relationships?
Yes. Deep passion. Very vulnerable. This is, when the moon is in Scorpio, it might be hard to express your emotions because they're so intense. So, but hopefully that intensity is kind of let up a little bit after the full moon, and you're able to share some of the most deepest, most intimate parts of yourself while saying, like, this is what I value. This is what's important to me. I've been nervous about telling you what I really like, because I'm afraid that if I do tell you what I really like, then you're not going to like me.
It's so scary when that happens.
Yes.
But I mean, I feel like I still go through those moments being in like a partnership. It's so crazy where I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm myself all the time. And it's not true. I still hide things that I'm scared of. As like new emotions come up, it's always so scary to be like, oh, well, what if this ruins everything? What if they don't respect what I value?
Yeah.
What if the relationship changes? Or, yeah, what if they don't like me anymore because of what I shared? And I mean, at least my personal lesson that I've been learning is every time I share, at least at this point, has been so well received. Even if he doesn't agree with the thing, he's always very compassionate. And whether or not we're on the exact same page about it, knowing that the other person respects you enough to be careful with your feelings and respect you. I think that's such an amazing lesson. So it's like if you don't have people in your life that are willing to accept you for who you are and how you feel, then like they're probably not the best people to have that close to you. So it is extra scary when it's like that sensitive, like closeness in the relationship, but like you don't want to have somebody that can't care for you in those moments that you can't share yourself with.
Well, it's like, what did you just say? If you don't have somebody in your life who cares for you or respects you, then what does that mean about you?
You don't respect yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been there a million times. So
yes,
when they answer that question is like, why are you hiding it? It's like, well, you're hiding from yourself too.
Yes.
You're hiding yourself.
Yes.
It's not healthy to be like, you can think you're having this deep, intimate connection. You're scared of ruining it, but it's like, well, it's really not that deep because you're not really sharing yourself.
Yes.
So there is that vulnerable moment of possibly breaking it or ruining it, but it's like that's also a potential moment of deeper connection when you can actually move through that and share yourself more. It's so fucking scary to be vulnerable. It really is.
Yes.
Actually, even on the podcast, every time I share more about maybe a family or a relationship dynamic or something, it was when I'm editing is when I'm really hearing it back and I'm like, oh no, should I take that out? And I'm just like, well, I can't just take it out. Then there's nothing to connect the astrology with the real life example. And I'm always get like nervous about it somehow. And then every time that I get like scared when I share something a little more than I anticipated is when I get like, a influx of messages being like, oh my gosh, me too. Thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm always scared that even like some listener will be like, why are you sharing this much? And then I feel like it's always ends up being a gift.
Well, you're so always brave. Oh. You're so brave, Ingrid.
You're always so encouraging. You're always such a great cheerleader. And even though you like always push my boundaries of working on myself, you're always so compassionate and make me feel really safe. And I mean, if anyone hasn't gotten a reading with Scott, his energy and his work is so amazing for being able to transform like the level of pushing someone's boundaries while also holding space for them and making them feel like it's going to be okay even if you take these scary new steps is like it's been just made such an impact on my life and the way I am in relationships. And even though we've been doing this for 3 years, I mean, basically this is like a little mini reading every time we meet. Like these things still come up, new things still come up, and I still need that like cheerleader in you to like push me to do the right thing for myself.
Yes. Amazing.
So thank you, Scott.
You're welcome, Ingrid. You're welcome. Work. You're welcome. Absolutely. Thank you for your vulnerability, for your trust in me, for your courage to come on the show and be so open and authentic in who you are. It's a blessing for me, and I believe for our listeners too.
I think so.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Scott, and thank you everyone for listening. Do we thank our listeners this week?
Oh, we got to thank our sponsors. Yeah. Jessica, Kendra, Larry, Jasmine, Brenna, Barbara, Grace, Janelle, Vincent and Michelle, Clarissa, Nicole, Aline, Cassie Merdinas, Brooke, Ricky, Amaranth, Libby, Annie, Amber, Stephanie, Deborah, Haley, Janine, Carrie, and Catherine.
Thank you all so much for supporting the podcast. It allows us to do more of what we love, sharing the planets and stars with you. If you would like to support the podcast, you can donate to the podcast. The link is in the show notes. You can donate $1, $5, or $10 a month. If you don't have the means financially, you can give us a 5-star rating on any of the platforms. You can write us a review. You can go purchase the book. You can go to Spellbound Sky and get one of the books. Yes. Or you can go on Amazon if you're not in LA. You can get a reading with Scott. You can go to a moon cycle class. So there's a lot of ways to support, and we appreciate all of the comments, all of the messages, big and small, that everyone sends us.
Yes. And thank you again to Mark and Martin at Spellbound. We're so grateful for your support and encouragement. I'm so grateful for the impact that you've had on my life over the last 7 years. So incredible. So
that's almost that 7 years. That 7-year cycle over here.
Exactly, the 7-year cycle. So in my 7-year cycle, I got my book in Spellbound Sky. It's really amazing. And it wasn't even like Scott. A goal or a dream or an ambition, and it's more than I could have imagined. You know, it's like how people are like, I never could have imagined this, but it's even better than what I could have imagined. That's how I feel. It's incredible. So thank you again.
All right, I will see you next week, Scott.
See you next week, Ingrid.
Thank you for listening to The Weekly Transit. Follow us on Instagram for daily updates about the planetary alignments and how to work with the energy. If this podcast is helping you navigate life more gracefully, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and share with your friends. If you're ready to go deeper, book a personal reading with Scott or sign up for his new moon, full moon class at theweeklytransit.com.
The Weekly Transit.